Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. I'm going to talk kind of quietly because it's kind of late. Most of the family's asleep. Sorry about being a little bit late with this. I just had a very long day, and I wanted to take a little chance to study the chart more. And I've had a chance to do that now, so this is being done at about 10:30 on Tuesday evening. Let me read this to you, then we'll get into it. The website and the video are for educational purposes only. Nothing stated at the site or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I control lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research and make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. I am not a licensed financial professional. I'm just a guy who draws lines on charts. So let's take a look. First thing I want to do is take a look at a 3-day chart for a very simple reason. People are talking about, is the S&P at a top? You know, this is kind of looking toppy here, and it's really interesting when you look at the degree of volatility that the S&P had in 2009, 10, 11, even 2012. A little volatility in 2013. So far, 2014, look at that. Compared to what was going on back here for about 3.5 years. Look at that. How strange that is. But here's the line that I have in my mind as being the first shot across the bow, that the good times are maybe getting ready to turn into a bear market. This has to break, okay? And currently that line, going to a day chart now, is at about 1846. So it's about 123 points underneath us. So that would be a fairly significant downward move if that line breaks. Interesting to note also that this line and this line are very close to being parallel. We have not come close to this particular line in over a year and about 2 months. The last time this line was touched was back in May of 2013. Now, I have been using this line right here as a potential resistance line as well, because since summer of 2013 we have been between this particular line and this line here. Now, zooming in again, you'll see where the plot thickens. We've got another channel. Here's that support line, by the way, that I just pointed out. There's the blue line. There's that kind of, what color is that? I don't know. Greenish olive color. There's that resistance line. Then we have our red channel that we just really started looking at in a serious way over the weekend. And wouldn't you know, this is the line that looks maybe to be in jeopardy with what we saw today. If we move this line back just a little bit to make it more accurate, you can see that that line was currently at 1972, and we closed at 1970.6. So we're roughly a fraction of a percent underneath this line, which frankly is no big deal. We'll see what happens with the open tomorrow. By the way, let me check on the futures real quick. Okay, the S&P futures are up marginally. They're up about as much as this is underneath this line, so no real clear sign there at all. But I think we are once again looking at this line as, I believe, important support. It would not surprise me if we come down to this line and it breaks. I would not be surprised to see a fairly swift downward move if this breaks. And then, of course, this resistance line, which looked to be a good indicator that we were going to get a move up over 2,000, but we got up over that line just a little bit today, then quickly gave that back. So, what do we do with this line? Well, this point right here is good. And now it's looking like maybe that, which is kind of an odd little pattern. I really like the idea of a triangle more than some kind of strangely ascending resistance line. But you know, I think, you see what I mean? This is a good point, this is a good point, but when we get over this line, it's not behaving properly. So I'm not quite sure where to put this. Maybe just make a mental note of where it can be in a number of different areas. But I tell you what I'm going to do instead here. I'm going to make that more horizontal because, you know, the resistance here, resistance here, resistance here. This still may be that little premature breakout that that just wasn't meant to be. Maybe this makes a little bit more sense now that we see that we got turned back from that level at about 1985 today. If we look at a 5-minute chart, do we really learn anything that much? Well, not particularly. You know, we had this little consolidation here. It broke to the downside, made the downside target, and when it got above it, it you know, it got nicely above it. We had this little line working pretty good on a back test before that move up. But the fact of the matter is, none of these little tiny patterns gives us enough of a predicted move to make much difference, if you know what I mean. So let's make one more change to this chart. We're going to work off this high here and this high that we just saw, and that alters the chart a little bit to give us another, hopefully more dependable trigger, that if we get over this resistance line, then we move up to challenge 2000. Right now it's just looking a little bit strangely volatile. By the way, you also notice that we had this little inverted head and shoulders pattern, got underneath it just a little bit, but where we put on the brakes at the very end of the day today was this neckline. For what it's worth, you know, I'm not putting a whole bunch of stock when you see all of this little just kind of, this looks like a seismograph for the hills of California. We're just getting a lot of back and forth, a little fighting things out here, and it's interesting. It looks volatile until you do that, and then you realize it's really not. There's not really much going on up here at all. So guys, let's just continue to watch this line. Continue to watch now this revised line. If we get up over this line right here, then I'm pretty comfortable that we're going to mount an attack, on a serious attack on 2000. If we break this line, then I'm pretty comfortable saying that we're going to be coming down to test some support. I would think at least in the 1930s. And hopefully this support line would hold if we end up breaking this support line right here. So guys, there's your video for July 29th, 2014. We're just kind of back into sideways. Let's see which way she goes from here. By the way, thanks for your patience. Thank you for your support. Take care.